Our 2003 Alfa See Ya has not seen many miles, but it has been well used. So some things are beginning to wear out, as is the case of the freshwater pump. It was working quite well. Then it just stopped. It was the original Shurflo pump, and considering that it lasted 14 years, I can't complain. And it will be getting a second chance at doing what it does, which is pump. But more on that at the end of this video. We received no compensation for the mention of or showing products or companies in this video. I went online and found the replacement for this pump on Amazon for a very reasonable price. On sale, $65, free shipping, and it arrived in 3 days. The new Shurflo model is claimed to be a direct replacement for our old pump. It is for the most part. However, the mounting bolts are in a slightly different place, but that's not really a problem. The pump on our coach is located in the compartment just in front of the wet bay. This compartment is a pass-through and has a drawer that slides out the other side of the coach. With the drawer slide out of the way, access to the pump is simple. I just lay down in the bay and work on it. The first thing I did was to shut off the water. The valve for the freshwater tank is right here. I also turned off the city water connection as it is plumbed into the overall system. Next, I disconnected the positive power connection. These are just spade connectors that slide together or apart. Now I can disconnect the water connections from both sides of the pump. The supply side doesn't have much water coming out of it because of the shutoff valve. The other side has the accumulator tank, and it holds a fair amount of water that I can just catch in a plastic container. All of the water connections on the pump are hand tightened, and so this part doesn't need any tools. While the pump is still attached to the wall, I unscrewed the screen filter. This filter keeps chunks of debris out of the pump, and it's reusable, so I will be using it again on this new pump. With the filter out of the way, I can get to the negative connector and disconnect it. Next, I remove the 4 mounting screws. With the last one, the pump just comes away from the wall. I can then compare the old pump to the new one. I like to make sure the space between the water connections is about the same. The PTFE tape is for the screen filter connection, not the hand-tightened water lines, as they have their own seals in the connector. The instructions that came with the pump say that you want flexible braided water lines going to and from the pump. This prevents strain on the pump's threaded connections. So this means I'm going to need to change out the tubing later. But for now, the existing lines are not stiff, so we'll use them. The screen filter is cleanable, and so to open it, I just grab the main body and then the tabs on the input end and twist a little, and it opens right up. With it open, I can wash out any debris that it has caught, then I just close it up. This is a standard maintenance thing, so I'll have to remember to do this once in a while. And then just screw it onto the new pump, hand tight only. All of the connections should be hand tight only, because with plastic threaded connections, it is easy to break things by getting them too tight, as you might with a tool. As I mentioned, the mounting is a little different than the old pump, including the thickness of the foot pads. Not a problem, just use longer screws that are self-drilling and put it in a slightly different spot. I don't want to force the pipes into a position that puts strain on them, and so new mounting holes are needed. Putting strain on the pipes also puts strain on the pump's threaded connections, and this can cause the threaded parts to break. To make the electrical connections, I just used some new spade connectors on the ends of the wires. I have had crimp type connectors slip out. The wires just pull out of them. So I like to put a lot of pressure on crimping them as tight as I can. Usually it's no problem then. With the connectors on, I just push them onto the existing connections. With the connections complete, it's time to test it for leaks. No leaks! Well, it's not exciting to watch, but with no leaks, I could also now clean up the wires to protect them with flex conduit. Now for those who have an Alfa like ours, here's a little description of what does what on these coaches, because there are some important valves you want to be aware of here. This is the freshwater storage to pump shut-off valve. I had to use that to keep the water from flowing out while I was working on the pump. This is the accumulator tank that the new pump really doesn't need, but I left it in to simplify the install. I might remove it later. These are the freshwater system drain valves for winterizing the system or for sanitizing the system. Then behind this frame rail are the two 50-gallon freshwater tanks that are connected together so that you get 100 gallons of freshwater storage. Finally, with the new pump in place, I looked at the old one to see what caused it to fail. What I found was that there was a leak somewhere in the pump some time back, and it caused the bearing as well as many parts inside the pump to corrode. Well, I was able to free up the bearing and clean out some of the corrosion and to get the pump motor to work again. Now, I would not use this pump to run the coach's freshwater system. It's just not reliable enough for me, that. But I have an idea for the pump to help with dry camping refill of the freshwater tank. But that's going to be another video.
Thanks for watching our video. If you like what you see, press the like button below and subscribe. And also check out our other videos.